Okay, I want to start round two of the discussion that I started yesterday about being a man and that being okay as long as you're the right kind of man. Now, there's some things I couldn't get into the video because, essentially, because I record in 4K and then downscale to 1080 for YouTube because it allows me more freedom to edit. It only goes 30 minutes. That's why the end of that was so abrupt in the last video. So let's get the rest of it done. We've all heard the term toxic masculinity. And this is thrown around by SJWs liberals all the time. Now, aside from the fact that there are parts of masculinity that are toxic. There is the not allowing, to have feelings. And men have feelings. We have just as many feelings as women do. The difference is that we're told to hide them, etc. Except for being hungry, horny, angry, etc. And telling you that you're not allowed to cry. Now, there's nothing wrong with being emotionally upset and crying. There is something wrong with not doing something about the problem. Being outraged or even depressed by an injustice in the world is the natural product of anybody who has a soul. The point is to use that to make change. Now, I'm actually going to quote Star Trek: The Next Generation. I don't know if you remember the episode where Data ended up joining the Borg because of his brother, etc. And he said, he was talking about having emotions for the first time, and he said, I don't want to experience the negative emotions like anger. And, Counselor Troy said, anger isn't a negative emotion. Emotions aren't negative or positive. It's what you do with them that make them good or bad. Anger at an injustice prompts people to create change. So in saying, you're not allowed to get angry anymore because that's a hyper-masculine thing, that's toxic masculinity. So what's wrong with outrage at injustice? What's wrong with being angry at injustice in the world? It seems to me that for people who are continually bashing anger as being a hyper-masculine thing, these people are always outraged and railing about every single little thing, even when they're not little things. So why can't we be angry about it? And why can't we use that anger to go about and to fight for change? It's nonsense. The problem with the term toxic masculinity is that that's literally everything masculine, according to them. Now, I know they don't overtly say that, but have you ever heard an SJW, a liberal, etc., ever talk about any kind of masculinity that wasn't toxic? Name one thing an SJW ever said that was masculinity that wasn't toxic. I'll save you the trouble. It's never happened. Because all masculinity to them is toxic. So I think we need to throw out this term, toxic masculinity. I think, how about we use the term, maybe a term that we can all be familiar with, revolutionary and reactionary. I think us as Marxists can agree with that. That there's a reactionary version of something, and there's a revolutionary version of something. And some things are not revolutionary at all, but that's not the point. The point we're talking about here is culture. And that we do want to have a revolutionary culture. And yeah, you can be a man and be revolutionary instead of just being labeled an evil cis white male. Because look at one of the champions of socialism, Che. Che was an entirely hyper-masculine male. He womanized like crazy. He was a homophobe. It was the 1960s in Latin America. What do you expect? He had the whole machismo thing going. Is he now the most reactionary, cis male shitlord on the planet? No, he's one of the most revolutionary people that ever lived. He's like the model of what someone should be in order to be revolutionary. And I think that's really important. Now, it doesn't mean we have to do these reactionary things. That's not who we are. That's not what we do. I'm saying it's not like you're automatically evil for being a cis male, etc. Your actions determine who you are. I think you can understand where I'm going with this. So scrap this terrible toxic masculinity term. Let's start using revolutionary and reactionary masculinity. As I said in the previous video about lifting others up rather than beating other people down. Now this femininity, this feminization of men, or this weakening of men, I think weakening of men would be a better way to put it. And the rightists always, and they lament this, and this is a plot, etc. But you ever notice that they're the ones who are most guilty of this? How many of these Nazis are like just completely weak? Look at it like this. If it's the big Islamic conspiracy to take over the West and make everybody do the Sharia law, etc., and let's say you really believe that's true, do they volunteer to go fight ISIS? No. They walk into a mosque in New Zealand and shoot 50 unarmed people. Exactly how courageous is that, to shoot unarmed people? How virtuous or strong or brave is that? That's the complete opposite. That's the action of a weak coward. Shooting unarmed people is one of the most biggest fucking pussy things you can do. Okay, here's another example. Let's take the Charleston shooter. Oh, the black people are doing all the crime and all this and that, and they're tearing apart society. Did he go down into the street and fight urban gangs or something? No. Did he even go after a politician that he thinks is part of the problem? No. So what did he do? He walked into a church and gunned down a bunch of people who were busy, unarmed people who were worshiping. Exactly how courageous is that? Where's that big, strong, that return the honor to the white race kind of thing? Where's the honor in that? That's nothing. That's pussy fucking bullshit. And this is the same thing over and over. This is the Roger Elliots. This is the polytech shooter, etc. Oh, the feminists are taking over. They're controlling our lives. They're blah, blah, blah. Does the guy go after the people that he feels are the problem? The people with power? No, he walks into a school and shoots a bunch of students. The same thing with the guy last year in Toronto who ran over a bunch of women coming out of school. Or Roger Elliott. Oh, women don't like me. So I'm going to go shoot up a bunch of unarmed people. Is he going to change? Is he going to try to figure out maybe there's something wrong with him? Maybe there's something wrong with society? Is he going to do a critical analysis of society and social relations? No, he's just going to blame women and then go gun down a bunch of unarmed women. Gun down a bunch of unarmed, innocent women. Like, that's your model of being a badass? That's projecting strength? What the fuck? That's bullshit. And they're doing it the worst. You take all those like white supremacist shooters and you line up all their mugshots and they all got like the same thing. They've all got the glasses for some reason. I don't know why. They've got that weak chin. They've got that baby face, etc. And they're projecting a lot of weakness. Or what is typically seen as weakness. And they have that, what society is pushing as what you should be, and they feel powerless because of it. Because they have been weakened to a degree. So what's their answer? Go from being weak to being a coward. How much guts does it take to gun down innocent people? If it's the Jews that are running the system, do they go after the Federal Reserve? Do they volunteer to fight Israel or something? No, they walk into a mosque and stab people. They walk into a deli and stab people. They go into a synagogue and shoot a bunch of people, or they throw a Molotov cocktail into the window, and that one dumbass Nazi who set himself on fire. These aren't the actions of fighters. These are the actions of cowards. Now, compare that. You've got the Nazi friggin' empire acting like they're all badasses. Oh, we're the superior race, blah, blah. And what do? They gun down a bunch of people who can't even, like, defend themselves. Like, you invaded Poland. Wow, what a badass. You beat up a country that, like, basically couldn't even defend itself. And then what happened? When they had to go up against somebody who could actually defend themselves, the Soviet Union, they got their fucking asses kicked. Yeah, they did a lot of damage, but they lost. And it's the same thing with Nazis today. It doesn't take a real man to shoot unarmed, innocent people. What is that? That doesn't project strength. And that's what they're all about. They're all about, oh, we're going to take masculinity back. We're going to be the real badasses. Yeah, come on. Who the fuck are you kidding? It's nonsense. And that's just the right. Now, there's a huge portion of the left that's responsible for this, too. And there's a lot of these SJW types that are running around pretending to be Marxists that are also guilty of this. Now, I don't mean to harp on this particular group, but and I kind of do because it's pretty obvious they're actually cops. The Red Guards Austin. Remember when they went out in public and they were going to have that big open carry protest? Look at the video from that. They were hiding behind the cops. They were hiding behind the repressive state apparatus. And if you look at that video, you can see their men hiding behind their women. Are you kidding me? Hey, maybe if all you're about is just trying to reverse gender roles for the sake of trying to sound progressive rather than scientifically analyzing them and trying to find out what the problem is, I guess that sort of does make sense to you. But how strong is that, hiding behind a woman? Okay, maybe this does sound a little backward of me, but if you mess with my woman, I am going to kick your ass. And you know what? I think any man certainly does understand that. I think any man does understand the desire to protect his family. And I don't think you have to be some right-wing nutjob to understand that. I think that's an instinct born into each and every one of us. I'm talking about men. To want to protect your family, to want to protect your woman. I'm not talking about fighting her battles for her or owning her like property, but goddamn, man, every man knows what it means to stand up for his woman and knows what it means to protect her from like a kind of threat. Okay, we all understand that, and that's okay. I think that's fine. I think we're allowed to do that. I think we're allowed to protect people we care about, and I don't see anything wrong with that. Sorry. And I think that's a real conversation we need to have. And I think that's okay. I think we're allowed to be that. Because I don't like someone telling me, you're not allowed to feel this or you're not allowed to feel that. I'm going to feel what I'm going to feel. What's important is what I do with those feelings. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be depressed. But what are you going to do with it? I'm going to steal a line from the LLCO here. In that thing, Walk This Road With Us. Everybody falls. Everybody makes mistakes. Pick yourself up and continue. Everybody falls. Everybody makes errors. To go against all obstacles is to be great. To make mistakes, recognize that you've made a mistake, correct the error, and continue with a new line. Isn't that dialectics? And that's something that we should do? But that's not what we've been doing. What we've been doing is a bunch of liberal goddamn nonsense. And a lot of the sucking up to SJWs, or allowing SJWs to run around calling themselves Marxists. If you don't do the dialectics, you're not a Marxist. Get out. If you're not down with revolution, Get out. You're not a Marxist. Go be a liberal somewhere else. And I think that's something that we need to do. I don't even think that this is even necessarily something that, us as men need to figure out. I think this is something Marxists in general need to figure out. Stop with, some kind of often absolutist kind of garbage. Like, say, you believe that there's no ethical consumption under capitalism, which there isn't. Of course there isn't. But then turning around and saying that you shouldn't rat people out for using child porn, right? Because there's no ethical consumption under capitalism, and that would make you a hypocrite if you reported people for you consuming child porn, right? No names, though. And I think that's what we need to do. I think we need to start being men again. I think we need to have a code that says we protect women and children. Is there male privilege? Goddamn right there is. And you know what also comes with privilege? Or should come with privilege? Responsibility. And I'm not talking this thing where you weaken yourself or you make yourself a subject to other people's whims. I don't mean that liberal garbage. I mean the real honest lift other people up. I went over this in the previous video. And I'm sick of that. What are the accusations that you've heard about me for like forever? Oh, I'm a misogynist, sexist, racist, homophobic, basically everything phobic that you could possibly be. But name anything that I've ever done to earn those titles. Have I ever said anything that men were superior to women? No. I don't have any of these traits. And I'm going to probably guess a lot of you don't have those traits either. I don't think it's sexist to want to defend women and children. Especially children who can't defend themselves. And I don't think that's patriarchal. I don't think it's patriarchal to want to defend your woman. I don't think it's patriarchal to want to defend your sister. Now, there's a line. You can't tell your sister, who she can and can't have sex with, who she can or can't date. Because that would be misogyny. But if that guy beats her, you got every right to do something about it. You got to be careful. You can't advocate violence because that would be against the rules. But I think you know what I mean. You've got every right to stand up for someone abusing any woman in your family. You got a right to stand up for anybody in your family. I don't think that makes you a hyper-masculine male. If that makes you a hyper-masculine male, then I would rather be one of those hyper-masculine males than some of this new male bullshit. But let me return to the subject of questioning gender. Yeah, we're allowed to question gender. Because I think the backwards notions of masculinity are wrong. That's why I so openly advocated in the previous video writing a new one. I think it's okay for us to have feelings. For us to get sad, depressed, angry. And people get lonely. Human beings are social creatures. Despite whatever kind of right-wing kind of what's the term? Survival of the fittest kind of garbage that we've been fed as a justification for capitalism. It's not true. Human beings have survived by cooperation through our entire existence. From primates that had no written language, to all the way up to today. We only survive because we cooperate. Now, that cooperation can take different forms. Even capitalism is a form of cooperation. It's a stupid way of cooperating and coordinating society. It's a really, really dumb one that's going to get us all killed, but it is one. So this kind of nonsense that we're not allowed to have a community is garbage. You hear terms like bromance, etc., and these are a way of phrasing them in very simplistic, individualistic ways. Oh, it's bromance between these two guys. They're really good friends. Aren't we supposed to be like with everybody here? We've been living under this liberal, individualist bourgeois bullshit for so long that we don't even see it anymore. Okay, that happens. When you get wholly indoctrinated by a system and an ideology, that happens. I'm not blaming anybody for not seeing it. I'm not even blaming myself for not seeing it previously. But we can change it. We don't have to have. Why do we have to have this idea that we have to, compete with each other? Since when did we Marxists even buy that kind of garbage? We do the cooperation. We do the unity. We don't do the competition. Any other man in the world is not my competitor. He's either a revolutionary comrade or reactionary piece of shit. And I think that's the difference there. Even the idea, the women subconsciously are. You ever heard that idea that subconsciously all women hate each other or some kind of thing because of some notion about competing with each other? I can't really speak for that because I don't know it very well. But I mean, I'm sure you've probably heard that expression somewhere sometime. They should cooperate too. We should be cooperating completely. Someone's either reactionary or they're not. And because of their skin color doesn't make them reactionary. Because of their sex, they're not reactionary. And we need to get past this SJW garbage that says all white males are inherently evil. Oh my God, why did the white male side with Donald Trump? Well, you did a pretty good job of alienating the shit out of them. You did such a good job with bashing the hell out of anything masculine that you drove a ton of guys right into the hands of Nazbols and Nazis. That the idea that there's a conspiracy to eliminate masculinity. Well, it's not a conspiracy, but you're doing it. And I think that's completely ridiculous. What happened to solidarity? And I know we do it for the most part. A real Marxist still does it. I'm not blaming the real Marxists here. I'm blaming the liberal SJWs that are passing themselves off as Marxists. And it's time that we took a stand against this. Because these people have dragged us down into the rabbit hole of bullshit. Look at how the left used to be in the US. And look at it now. And you know who I directly blame? I blame COINTELPRO. The left has bought off, the COINTELPRO has bought off certain people in the left. I think Gloria Steinem's one of them. I could mention a bunch of people that are bought off onto it. And then they influence others to go along with this same garbage. We'd be nothing but fools to think that COINTELPRO doesn't exist anymore. It would be idiotic, to be perfectly honest. And we need to start recognizing, as a friend as a friend told me, he thinks the CIA has hijacked the dialectic and turned it against us. And I think there's a solid case that could be made for that claim. I think it's time we took it back. Because if we have noticed anything, it's the left getting weaker and weaker. And the divide between that line between liberals and leftism, that line is getting thinner every day. Now, I think in the last couple months or so, that started to get widened up again. That new Workers' Socialist Party in the UK was basically born out of the CPG-BML. I am not technically affiliated with the CPG-BML, but basically it was born out of them. That party in Sweden that decided that ID poll can go to hell. So I think that there is a trend that's starting to turn around against this complete reactionary garbage. And I think we need to continue that. And keep in mind here, I've been here almost 11 years in a couple of days, if in a day or so, it's going to be 11 years that I've been here. And I can tell you that I have outlived a lot of YouTube communists. I've seen a lot of them come and go in the last 11 years. People who came in, burned really bright, and then disappeared. Because their heart really wasn't in Marxism or revolution. It was a phase for them. And unfortunately, our ideology ends up becoming somewhat of a magnet for people going through that phase. Our ideology is not a phase. It's a real legitimate ideology that challenges the establishment. How many people have you known who came in attacking me, saying, oh, blah, 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 whatever, he's an idiot, whatever, and those people don't even exist anymore? They're gone. I could list you a ton of people. But then if I just listed them, then I get accused of bullying. But they've done the same thing. How many people have done that to Caleb Maupin? For Christ's sakes, they started claiming that Caleb Maupin was an anti-Semite. For what? What did Caleb Maupin ever do that would lead you to believe he was an anti-Semite? Because he criticized Israel? Good. Like this is bullshit. You look at the real people. Well, let's say the internet real people, because the real people are down there on the streets, etc. But let's say the real internet people. Me, Finbol, and Damien. We're real. And I think the three of us need to start cooperating. Start putting out, coordinating, putting out information. Go watching Damien's video on the purges. Damn good shit. And then go look at the, the far left butt mad over that. It's incredible. Because they got owned so hard. I mean, look at Finbol. Name someone who knows socialist history or the history of the Soviet Union better than Finbol. Nobody. I've never met anybody who knows it better than him. Yeah, maybe Grover Fur. But I mean, in terms of online, YouTube, social media people, there's nobody who knows Soviet history better than Finbol. He's practically untouchable in that regard. And I think the three of us need to start getting together. Start making some real shit. Because you know who I consider part of the problem? BreadTube. BreadTube is a problem. Now, for the longest time, I haven't said anything about them. Because I didn't care. Okay, go do your BreadTube thing, go whatever. I don't care. Because I'm going to be here. I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing for over a decade. I was doing YouTube videos when these people were teenagers jerking off to anime, and probably some of them even younger. So, I mean, I'm still going to be here. I'm not going away. And I've got more, in terms of doing Marxism on the internet, or at least on YouTube anyway, who's got more experience than me? So let's start cooperating. Let's build an alternative to BreadTube. Maybe we don't want to hear a bunch of pedophile defending bullshit. Maybe we want to hear something that's more in line with what has actually created revolution in the past. Maybe we don't want to hear a bunch of gender garbage anymore. Maybe we don't want to hear about how men are inherently evil. Maybe we want an alternative to that. No one's going to do it for us. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.